Welcome to Face. This is a show about change and what's next. It's a show that asks questions and peels back the layers of our average everyday experience and goes beyond scratching the surface. We interview people doing incredible things who are making a difference around the globe. Join me as we listen in and get one step closer to understanding that big ideas shared create collaboration. Collaboration can inspire community, and communities create social change. I'm David Peck, and this is Face to Face. So I felt really privileged to interview Daniel and Emmanuel Leconte, a father and son team who co-directed a film, Suis Charlie, which is about the Charlie Hebdo massacre that occurred in Paris just this past year. And so they've pieced together this film that is quite the historical document, and it's remarkable and compelling. It's disturbing and unsettling because it's a very personal piece. It's about the killings, the murder of these journalists, these comedians, I guess you could say, these friends who were piecing together what they thought was important commentary on the way the world was heading. And so, like I said, to say that it was a privilege for me is an understatement. This is a film about speaking. It's a film about debate. It's a film about sort of provoking this idea that we really do need to be asking better questions. We need to be thinking about things in a thoughtful and a substantive way. And the world has changed, and it continues to change. It sounds trite on one level, but it's a pretty important thing to take away from this film. I urge you to get out and see it as soon as you can, as soon as it's available. Je suis Charlie. It premiered at the Toronto International Film Festival this year, and I hope you will get to see it very soon. Daniel and Emmanuel Leconte. So welcome to Face. We are joined by two very special guests today, Daniel and Emmanuel Leconte.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Yeah,
well, that's the right
Yes.
pronunciation?
Yeah, it is.
One of the way. The other Leconte.
Leconte. It sounds a little more formal to me.
Yeah,
Yes,
it is.
right.
Let's keep it simple.
Keep it simple,
Yeah.
So you are in town for the 40th anniversary of the film festival here to present your film world premiere, I believe, of Je suis Charlie.
Yes.
And we're actually extremely proud to do that because, of course, it's even though Charlie Hebdo has become an international issue, problem, event, catastrophe, attack. We're still just French directors and making a story about something that happened in France. So we're extremely proud to have the opportunity to sort of present it to an international audience, and also in a country where the models and the way we live in a society are not exactly the same. I mean, we probably have time to talk about that, but we live in France in a society that's with secular values, and here in Canada, it's a society, a multicultural society on a different model, and I think both have advantages and all that. So, but it's interesting for us to have to be here in such a city and in such an international context to present this film, which is very important for us and for the people of Charlie Hebdo as well.
And how has it been received? I mean, from a Q&A perspective, from an audience perspective, I mean, it's a difficult film, really. It's a very personal film as well. And by the way, congratulations. And I need to tell our listeners, a father and son directorial team as well. So I want to hear about that a little bit as well, and your sort of your personal connection to this and your relationship to it, I suppose, because it's always interesting to me co-directing.
Yeah.
But then father and son is also pretty intriguing. But what has the response been like here in Toronto?
Well, I'll just start with the reaction of the people, but it's true that it's extremely refreshing because in some sense in France, people are we've talked about this so much. It happened in the country. People are in a way, I mean, in the media, you can tell they're kind of fed up with those problems, and they want to sort of get away. And there's a little bit of a denial as well. So it's good to be here because it feels like people are extremely happy and touched and interested to hear that we've tackled that issue, that we've decided to make a movie in such a short amount of time to make a point and to have their words, the words of the people of Charlie Hebdo, their voices heard. and we've been really overwhelmed by the reception and how people have been, have said thank you, and how they've celebrated the coming of the film. And also, I think what Daniel and I love is the fact that everybody got instinctively that what we tried to make as well, it was not a film on a funeral. We were trying to make to show people who love life and who celebrate life, who are a team of artists, of free thinkers, and of people who love freedom and liberty and love to laugh and discuss. And people felt that, that these guys were a bunch of friends having fun and they were killed for that simple thing.
There's one moment in the film where, and I can't remember who it is. I've got some of the names down, but somebody says, I think it's in response when they go to publish the first issue after the killings, and he says, it's this, it's that, but it's funny, and that's the main thing.
Exactly.
Yes.
Yeah. It's Luz who did the cover of on the 14th of January. The cover again with the Prophet Muhammad and saying, all is forgiven. A very peaceful cover, but then again depicting the Prophet Muhammad, being faithful to what they usually do, and yeah, of course, for him it was important not to make a newspaper where it was all drenched in tears.
Right.
No, it was important just to be faithful to what they are. Just the fact of printing a newspaper, just days after the attack, is something phenomenal. And when you read it, this issue, it's incredible. They haven't moved an inch. They're always still, in their heads, in their drawings, they're as acute as they were before, and that's really nice to see.
For a director, sometimes it's very strange to see his movie for the first time. Especially when you are in the theater with the audience. And for me, that was the occasion last night, not the night before. And within your film, something that you can see before. You see, because just like the audience reveals something in your
Layers.
film, layers, and that's why I was so surprised and so pleased that the reaction of the people, the audience, when they say, okay, you show life, you show those people loving life, and it's like the adventure of a band. From
a group
Sure.
of
Oh, you can tell there's a camaraderie.
Yes,
There's a
And
rapport.
it goes
right?
way back.
Yeah, I bet it does.
It's the story of our generation, and I feel that when I see the movie. And what is the major quality of this generation? The love of the freedom. And really, I feel that when I see the film, and I really happy about that, because we feel how they love life, how they love freedom, how they love liberty, and they do what they want to do, and that's for me the main.
And it's something very rare today in our societies, and even in the media. It's something that almost doesn't exist anymore. So
The historian and philosopher Elizabeth, near the end of the film, says the most important question for her is that young journalists, young thinkers, young writers
Yes.
don't say no
Yes.
to taking risks.
Yes,
exactly.
That they still feel open. And it's, what's your sense about that coming out of? You say France is kind of sick of hearing about this story. We've talked about it enough. Can we move on?
Yeah.
Right. That's kind of the sense in France. Would you say?
Yeah, I think what happened with the terrorist attacks, with the demonstrations, having this outpouring of people in the streets, that never happened in our history. So many people, it is, whether we like it or not, it is a historical moment. Something happened which is historical. Something was triggered in people's minds, hearts, that it never happened before. So, but of course, it is a mystery the way it sort of sprung up. It is also a mystery how it wanes, how it disappears. But what is sure is that something remains of that, and I think it's going to take some time for people to get to to grips with it. But I think something remains. I think a generation, Riss, now he's the director who was shot, is still the director of Charlie Hebdo, is convinced that a generation of young boys and girls will have that in their minds for the rest of their lives. It will stick as a pivotal moment of their youth. The way it happened. So it's going to take time, I think, for people to cope with all the magnitude and the different issues that it tackles, because it's really complicated what it means. Very complicated. So we can't ask for people to from one day to the other be as supportive of Charlie Hebdo as we would like them to be every day. But I think slowly things will settle in, and some things will be more respected. Some boundaries will be more respected. Yeah.
I was showing.
Just
yeah,
I
please.
want to answer
Yes.
your question about Elisabeth Badinter words. Yes, I think it's very important not to be heroes when you are a journalist, but to take your part of the risk. They're a part of the risk in this job. When I started in this job a long time ago,
Yeah, because Daniel was a journalist. He was a reporter.
Okay.
and you have a part of the risk. You have not. It's not the question to be a hero, just to do the job. And sometimes to do your job, you have to, confront a very difficult situation. You have to say something who is no accepted by the majority of the society. You have to shock sometimes people, and
You have to be transgressive.
You have to be transgressive to say the truth, and I think really we miss a little bit in the last 10, 15 years. We miss a little bit of that spirit.
Well, there seems to be a sense, coming out of France, as a philosopher, Pascal, for heaven's sakes, is one of my favorite thinkers, from 500 years ago. But then there's so many philosophers, somebody quotes Camus in the film, and so on. There's a lot going on at a very high level, at an academic level, in schools. What I'm interested in, what's going on in the coffee shops. And so near the end of the film, again, maybe it was Riss who said the Charlie effect is fading in that sense. But I love to hear what you're saying, though, about the seeds that have been planted with young people. Because I showed my son some of the demonstrations in the streets, and I'm getting a little bit of a shiver just thinking about it right now. And even that, just showing him those images, I know, because my son is thoughtful, that will stick with him on some level and will add to the dialogue that will become a part of his moral center, if that makes sense.
No, we're all looking for answers, I think, since that happened, because what was triggered is extremely powerful, extremely violent. This wave of emotion is something we're having a hard time understanding, because it's precisely an emotion. It's not intellectual.
Exactly.
It's something. It's just it grabs us, and so I think. Many philosophers, many sociologists, many editorialists are attempting to analyze and give theories, and what does it mean about French society? What does it mean about this world we live in? I think it's going to be hard to find answers. I think it's something pretty mysterious that happened, but I think it's a strong reaction, a very firm reaction to a sort of decaying. A decaying atmosphere in the possibility to create in a modern world, and to speak and to debate. When you think about it, the way things have been going down in the past 20, 30 years, from Salman Rushdie's fatwa, because he wrote a book, the Satanic Verses. He wrote a book. He's a novelist, and he has been hiding for the past 20 years because let's just think about that. Yeah. And then when you think about Theo Van Gogh in Holland, who's been his throat has been slit because he's an artist, a conceptual artist, which is in the early 2000s, made projections of verses of the Quran on the bodies of naked women. It's art, and he was trying to say something about that, and he was slaughtered in the middle of the streets. And Charlie Hebdo in 2005, and the Jyllands-Posten in 2005 with the controversy of around the Muhammad cartoons for printing those drawings, and then Charlie Hebdo attacked in a trial in French on which Daniel has made a documentary, and then the firebombing of Charlie Hebdo's offices, and then the assassination of Charlie Hebdo's staff, and I'm not even mentioning all the redactions, all the news redactions in Nigeria who have been hunted down by Boko Haram, in Iraq who have been killed because they're reporting, all the women, all the people who think differently in many countries who have been assassinated, and all the artists and creators in Europe and everywhere in the world who are just trying to play with the lines, provoke, be thoughtful, try to look at things differently. There's been a decaying atmosphere in the past 20 years trying to silence these things. And I mean, these people are, that's us. That's what we do. That's what we do as humans. That's the history of the emancipation of human beings and trying to be free. You were referring to the French history and French philosophy. I mean, French is also the les Lumières. The philosophers who were trying to wiggle out of the weight of religious rules and religious ways of life. People were trying to think free. I think in a way, I mean, it's maybe it's a bold shortcut, but Charlie Hebdo are the heirs of those philosophers. They are doing the same thing.
I think those killers, those terrorists, try to create an atmosphere like in the 30 years, in Europe, in the 30s. For example, when they make me think about this expression, this sentence of Goebbels, the theoretician of the Nazis, when he say, "When I hear the word culture,
I pull out my gun."
I pull on my gun.
Is that right? Is that a direct
yeah,
quote?
yeah.
When I hear the word,
It's exactly the thing.
And that's
It's
exactly what the terrorists do. The terrorists, there's no difference between what a Nazi said and what those terrorists actually did.
So what's the direct quote again? When I hear
the word culture, I pull out my gun.
Wow, and they were creating culture, the Nazis. I mean, they made over 1,200 films, my
yes,
understanding,
yeah, of course.
from a
Yes.
propaganda perspective,
Exactly.
right?
Manipulating.
Goebbels was the guy, wasn't he?
I know.
mean, it's insane, right? So he knew the
Insane.
power,
Yeah.
but anything that challenges me, I'm going to pull out my
I'm
gun.
going to pull out my gun. And it's exactly the same. When you think about it, I'm sorry, but it's exactly what terrorists and fundamentalists are trying to
See, coming from philosophy and raising my kids in as open of an environment as I can, with obviously boundaries, I suppose. I don't understand the fear. I just can't understand the fear. Somebody, again, in the film, you're interviewing somebody and they said, we have to continue to attack the ideology and that thinking behind it, that inability to be able to deal with culture, right? To be able to deal with the provocation, like you said. It's about, what's the phrase you used? It's beautiful. Create, speak, and debate, right?
Yeah.
And everybody should be wearing this T-shirt every day.
course,
Bumper
yeah.
stickers on our cars, right? Isn't that what it's about? And I continue to be astounded when at a dinner table, you're out, that you can see the body language when somebody shifts because you're talking about something that's sensitive
Of
now.
course.
Oh, gee, we don't want to talk about that, right? Well, all the more reason, actually, I think, to talk about it, really.
Of course, and I think especially when you think about what happened for Charlie Hebdo in the past 10 years, because that's all they did. Create, debate, speak.
Provoke such a great word.
Provoke those situations. That's exactly what they've been doing. They haven't changed for the past 25 years of existence. But the world has changed, and also I think not only fundamentalists, but also a huge segment of society which has been sort of taken hostage by this culture of, let's not offend anyone, let's not say anything which might be taken bad by someone who would think that we'd talk about them and they would feel offended, and this culture of being offended.
And who offending who? the man who make a cartoon or the man who kills somebody. That's incredible. That when you see it and you make the comparison between the attitude of terrorists and the attitude of the victims they kill, there are no debate. And nevertheless, some people think we offended those persons.
Yeah, the
It's
reason why we
incredible.
say that is because what you need to realize is that in France for a long time Charlie Hebdo has been sort of cast aside as a as a newspaper, not a news organization. It's far from being a news organization. It's a small paper which has no publicity, no subvention, which just it lives off its
Kind of
subscriptions.
subversive as well,
Exact-
right?
sub-
And
su-
this is probably
sub-
part of the reason why it's
Exactly, it's been
right?
cast aside, but it's also been, it's been tagged as racist, and because it was saying yes, we can make fun. No, we're not targeting people, individual, humiliating the people. That's not the point. That would be against the law, and we wouldn't want to do that. What we're trying to do is trying to critic ideologies, trying to critic the people who are using religion to their means, which are evil means, trying to impose a set of value on a society which has decided to wiggle away from those constraints.
What I thought was so great, and this is for both of you, but was, again, one of the journalists I think was being interviewed in the film and said something about anyone who actually was really a true believer in Islam, whatever true means, would not have reacted this way. Because
not.
there would have been a centeredness, there would have been a confidence in their understanding, right, in their belief system that said,
That it's higher than
go
what
ahead.
a stupid
Yeah.
guy did
Yeah.
with his cartoon.
Yeah.
Exactly. Go ahead, challenge me. It's going to make me
Yes.
stronger. I'm going to create a
Exactly.
better argument,
Yes.
et cetera, et
Yes.
cetera.
And maybe we'll have a chance to exchange, and I'll tell you why I don't agree,
And I might have a chance to grow.
and I might have a chance to,
Yeah.
and that's the point.
What's so scary about that?
I know.
I don't understand. Like,
Yeah.
I just don't comprehend.
I know.
Yeah.
So that's
Because
why.
there's a gap,
Well, there is clearly a
there-
gap of some kind.
There are a gap of culture, I think.
Right.
Of course, there are a gap of culture. They don't understand the culture of the confrontation. I mean, the intellectual confrontation.
Yeah.
And because they, for a long time they live, in under the influence of the political powers, and if you are under the influence of the tyrant, of the political powers, and you are under influence of God, you have no liberty, to talk free, and then I think that's probably a difficulty for us, We are used to.
I've often wondered about religion across the board. If religions, period, had a better had a more relational understanding of God. And we'd have to spend another 15 or 20 minutes unpacking what that means.
Yeah.
But what I mean is that it's not black and white, that it's not about numbers, it's not about quantities, it's not about some perfect image or objective idea of what this divinity is all about. It's a relationship. So therefore,
private
if that's true,
relationship,
a private relationship, and if that's true, it's going to change. It's going to be a little different. It's going to be based on loving. It's going to be based on the other, is what I want to say, I suppose. Does that make sense?
It
does.
Yeah. So, are you guys encouraged about where we're at? I mean, you've referred back a couple times to this idea that there's a decaying atmosphere. Do you think that's global? Do you think it's more sort of, are you concerned only about France? Because I think this film will be used
Yeah.
globally
I think
to
so, too.
open up a conversation. How can it not, right? And this is I think where maybe the most congratulations should be around your film, because it will open the door. It can't do otherwise.
No, definitely. With what happened last January, I think it's a global thing. It's not only France. It's everywhere in the world. It's a matter of what makes us human, and what makes us want to, like we said, be opened and challenged and also what makes us want to joke together. I mean, that's what Charlie Hebdo was about. Let's joke, Okay, yeah, it might be important for you, but can't we joke about it? It's a way also of distancing yourself and having a lighter relationship to reality and trying to distance yourself from grave matters as well. So
W.C. Fields says or said about sex, because people get uncomfortable when they're talking about sex, and his line was something to the effect of, "And besides, the positions are ridiculous." Right? And so it just reduces it to this base human kind of, hey, let's laugh about it and then talk about it.
Exactly,
right?
exactly. So I mean, of course, it's going to be, it's I am confident something historical happened, but we're not naive either. We know that it's tough, and one of the reasons why we made this film, why we made it so quick, was because we know it was important to take the center stage, because we know how the media cycle go. We know how people like to. Again, there's always going to be people who, like they did when Charlie Hebdo was at a trial, or when its offices were firebombed. There's always people going to go, they were going a little bit too far. Let's just forget them. And no. What we're doing with this is like, no, okay, this is it. This is enough. Now, we can't let this happen again, and we have to condemn it. And so it was important for us to usually, you don't make a film and you can't be selected in an international festival by starting a film 4 months before. That's not something, normally it's not possible. So we decided to. We were helped by a great team and all that, and we were also driven by a need to do this. But it still is a big. I think it's a big battle. It's not because people went down in the streets that it's won, and it is a long process. People have to, because it is, again, it's very complex. It's very complex. So we have to. All together, we have to walk through these big moments and not let people say stupid things as well.
One of the things, sadly, we're going to have to wrap this up. I'm getting the signals, and I'd love to do a part 2 with you, perhaps by phone at some point down the road. Yeah. But I think my listeners would enjoy that. But congratulations again on the film.
Thank you very much.
For opening up, I hope, layers of conversation. I think one of the things, so many things I'm going to take away from this experience for me, but one of the lines in the film was, never again will the word fundamentalist be used, which I think is, that alone we can write essays about, books about, and what does that mean? What are the implications? So
I invite you to, if you haven't seen the previous film, Art to be Loved by Jerks.
Art of Love?
Hard to be loved by jerks.
Oh, sorry, hard to be loved.
Yeah, hard to be loved by jerks, yeah.
Excellent. Great. So you're inviting everyone to...
Yes, I think.
Yeah, it was the first documentary that Daniel made when Charlie Hebdo was taken to court, which is more analytical and much more sort of...
That was 2007?
Yeah, that was done in 2007.
Excellent.
Yeah,
very good.
Yeah.
Well, listen, congratulations on an incredibly compelling and thought-provoking film, and thank you again for joining us today.
Thank you
very much. Thank you very much.